It's been a while. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. You are tuned in with Cindy. I know I have not been here in a while, so a little update for you. Last year, a lot got really busy, and as you know, I was the Olympic year, so I was training for my second Olympic Games, and it took a lot of time and a lot of toll on just my schedule. So I'm back today to kind of discuss with you guys about my Olympic experience. So the Olympics are done. As you guys know, the Olympics were postponed in 2020 due to COVID, and so we had them last year in Tokyo. And this video is going to be on my experience with my second games and like what I thought, how my preparation was leading up to it, my overall experience of the games, as well as my lessons learned. I'm gonna be showing some clips from it today so you guys can see some behind the scenes, and I also have my jacket on. The games did not go the way I would have liked. Did not perform well. Did not showcase how well my season was going. I had an amazing season last year, you guys. It was the best season of my track and field career, probably. However, just didn't show up when I needed to show up. So that was a bit frustrating, but overall, I'm so happy we had the games. So I qualified for the Olympic Games in June of 2021. So this past summer, my sister and we both qualified. The goal was to qualify and to make the team. Leading up into the Olympic Games, my season was going very well. I set personal bests a few times before that. Won a Diamond League race, which is the first in my whole career. I actually never really won any professional races. If you guys don't know, I ruptured my Achilles tendon in 2017. So ever since that injury, it's taken me such a long time to return back to myself and feeling good again. So to set a personal best in 2021 for the first time since that injury was amazing, because there's so many doctors telling me I never would have made progress again because of how bad it was. And I'm just so grateful to God that I was able to overcome that. So it was the best season of my career, y'all. Heading into Tokyo, I was really prepared, really ready and excited. I knew it was gonna look very different. So I'm gonna insert some clips here for you guys to see.
Hello, we are in London Heathrow getting ready to leave for Tokyo. I'm currently in the athlete lounge. I'll show you guys what it looks like. But we have about 3 hours, or about 2 now, until our flight. So getting ready for a long travel day.
We get to training camp, and training camp was very strict. We could only kind of walk outside in certain areas because the hotel didn't want us with the other Japanese people. So we couldn't go certain places while we were in the country. As soon as we got there, we had to fill out so much paperwork, y'all. I have never filled out that much paperwork. And then we also had to have this app. So with the app, they could track wherever you were. And if you were not where you were supposed to be, they could deport you back to your country. So that's a little concerning. You're not gonna try to do anything wrong in that regard. We got to training camp. Everything was going really well. Tiffany, my training partner and sister, was there. My coach, Jeff, he was there too. So we were feeling really, really good. Training was going really well. It was a little difficult with just not having the same experience I did in Rio, because when I went to Rio in 2016, it was just so much more fun, y'all. So much more fun. The experience, just everything for the first time was cool. The camp, everything was just great. Whereas this time, it was literally, you eat, you go to the track, you come back, you go to your room. So it was nothing like people thought it was. I'll insert some clips here that you guys can see, but yeah, we were not having the best time, let's just say that. However, grateful it still happened. So training camp was about a week and a half for us because we were at the beginning of the games. We were one of the first events, I think the second day, and we had this really awkward schedule where we went early in the morning, and then we had, I think, a night session. So it was early in the morning, night session, and then we made the final, it was morning session again. So it was the weirdest Olympic schedule I've ever heard of. I'm like, why would y'all do that? Going into my Olympic race, we were there for a few days. So you could only be in the village 2 days prior to your competition day. And then after that, you race. After you're done with the races, you have a day to get everything sorted. And after that, you head back home. So it was a very quick trip, to say the least. Get to the village. I'm excited to see, you know, different countries and just to be there in the environment. It's really easy to get distracted by everything that's going on, so I kind of had to take some time to not like be on social media all the time. I mean, granted, I posted still on my Instagram, but you just had to kind of like block out the noise, because there's so much noise happening when you're getting ready for games. You know, we got to see the track. The track was really beautiful. We got to go out there, do some starts 2 days beforehand, just get a feel for everything, get some photos, and you know, still got that experience. But like I said, everything looked really different because we still had to take like spit tests. We couldn't really interact with certain teams, and people just had to be away from everybody. Just, I don't know. And even like when we went to go eat food, the food was separated by dividers. So if you sat with somebody, you still had to have a divider between you, and you truly couldn't talk to them the way you normally would. It was a really weird experience, I'm not gonna lie. It was not what I would have ever expected the Olympic Games to look like, especially with no fans. We had no fans. So leading up into the day of the games, I would say the night before, I started feeling the pre-race nerves. Felt good. I mean, my body actually felt really good. But I will say, the night before the games, it was like so many things were happening. One, there were people outside of our apartment, I guess because we were like in little apartments, there were people outside who were making so much noise, y'all. Like, I did not sleep before my prelim. I didn't sleep because it was so loud. They were like having a party. I think it was another sport, and they were done with their event, and they were just having the time of their lives, apparently. So I didn't sleep, and I was very frustrated, and I had to, you know, try to fall asleep. I maybe got like maybe 2 hours of rest, but our race was so early. I think I raced at like, I was the first heat, so it was like 9 a.m. Japanese time, and then you have to get to the track like 2 hours before that, so I was there at like 7, something like that, where I was up super early. So I'm going into the race, I'm going into my warm-up with puffy eyes and just feeling, wow, like I trained for all this to feel this tired. Very strange to be like, I'm prepared for this moment, and I don't feel prepared. So not only did I have problems with sleeping, but that day I just didn't feel snappy enough. I didn't feel quick. I didn't feel like I was on my toes. And I was trying to wake myself up. And I said, you know what? I've been training so hard this whole year. I should be good to go. And you know, for my first race, y'all, my prelim was the slowest race I've had all season. Like, yeah, it was really weird. Like, even my bad days, like, were not that bad. And I was just like, what's happening here? Like, a lot of people only watch the Olympics, so they hear you say you're training, and then when they watch the Olympics and they see that you didn't perform well just on that day, they're like, man, you should do all that training to perform that badly. And it's like, no, it was just a really bad day. I made the semifinal, and by very, not too well, but I made the semifinal, thank God. And I was just so anxious because I just like didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel good about the race ahead. And so I'm like, okay, well, I made the semifinal. Let's pray that tomorrow can go better. Kind of struggled with my sleep the next day as well, because not only are you like having the pre-race jitters, you're like dealing with a time change, and you're dealing with people around you and roommates, and there's just so much you gotta block out that some reason I struggled with. I normally don't, but I struggled with it at this champs. Going to the semifinal, I felt way better than the prelim, and I did perform better than I did in the prelim, but it was not a good race. If anything, I was ready to set a personal best at that meet, and it just wasn't good. And I was devastated, to say the least, y'all. I still get a little bit emotional thinking about it, because it's just like, you train so hard. You train so hard for that moment, and for it to not come together the way you would want it to, it's hard. It's very, very hard. I was capable of, you know, being competitive. As professional athletes, we spend days and nights and time, energy, blood, sweat, tears into this moment. And to see that moment come and pass and none of your goals were hit is frustrating. And I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh yeah, I'm moving on. I mean, yes, you have to move on, right? As athletes, we have no choice but to move on. But the next day after my race, it took me a long time to process what was happening. I sat there after my semifinal in shock. Tiffany and I both, because we both were having a good season. For whatever reason, we just didn't perform the way we should have. I just remember Tiffany and I being so frustrated. We just went to the dining hall and got pizza and just like ate all the food, because we were just like, we're done, at least for now. But no, I knew I was gonna compete still that season, but I was taking a break regardless. I just needed some time to get my brain back to normal. So the next day, watching the final I honestly really couldn't. I was still in shock. You know, when something happens and you're like, I should be there. Like, why am I not there? Like, that's kind of where it was. It was a really, really hard experience, you guys. I can't really put it into words. So took some time off, took a week off, processed, went home, celebrated my birthday. My birthday was like 3 days after. It was crazy because right after the Olympics were over, and it was like, you didn't even have time to process your feelings because you had to like leave. I had one day there, Tiffany and I went to go look around a little bit, but you couldn't even leave the village. They allowed you just to go like to like little sites in the village or like in the little area that we could see. So we did some exploring that way, but for the most part, we literally couldn't do anything. So you're sad, you can't really do much, and you have to be shipped. You have to fly home the next like 2 days later. So imagine all those feelings that just brew up and you just feel defeated, really. You just feel sad. So I went home, and it was so weird because the Olympics had just, since we were so early in the Olympics, there were still like 5 days left at the Olympics. So I'm over here like watching from home, and it's just weird to be back home and to be watching it from the TV. Like, anyways, after I got home, I really couldn't watch the Olympics, y'all. Like, I had to turn it off. I would be thinking I was okay, like not acknowledging my feelings, and then I would watch something and then all of a sudden just start crying. Y'all, these emotions like to brew up when I start talking about this. But yeah, my Olympic experience didn't go the way I would have liked. But the good thing is we have 3 more years until the next one. It's not a full 4 years this time. I don't really have any regrets with how I prepared for this. I did everything my coaches told me to do. I was very proud of myself last year. It just wasn't meant to be that day. And that's kind of how life rolls. Like, sometimes you can do everything right and things just don't work out the way you want, and you have to accept that that's okay. And sometimes God has a bigger plan, and we might not always see it in the moment, but I don't know what God was doing with that day. I made some changes this year. Like, I have a new training group, and I'm in a completely different area than I'm comfortable with, and I've made some big changes to how I'm doing things. So, and one of the biggest lessons I learned is you have to be okay with things just not working out for you as you planned. You have to be okay with your plans just not going the way they did in your head. Like, sometimes I'm a very visual person, and I visualize myself doing the things that would lead me to success every single day, y'all. Like, I was very consistent with that. And so your reality doesn't match what you've been envisioning. It's hard to process. You have to know that God has a plan. You have to trust the Lord, and you have to believe that He can use your mess and turn it into a message. He can turn the things that you're struggling with and use it as the thing that makes you that better person. Sometimes it's not really about the destination. It truly is about the process of who you become. And I think I grew a lot in that moment because it was really, really hard. Like, I know I grew like when I was coming through my Achilles, and to be honest, to even be back in an Olympic team after rupturing my Achilles tendon is like a really, really big feat. But sometimes I forget that, and I have to tell myself, like, you've made huge leaps and huge steps to get back here, but it wasn't meant to be. And you have to be okay with change. Sometimes if things don't go the way you want them to go, you have to change some stuff up. So right now I am in a different group. I'm in a different state, very different program than what I'm used to, but I'm making really good progress so far. And yeah, just believing that, you know, if you do everything that you know you can do in your heart, you have to just be okay with that and say, you know, at the end of the day, I can look at myself in the mirror and know that there's nothing else I could have done. I did my best, and you know what? My best was what that was, and moving on. And so after the Olympics, I took a week off, mentally had to get myself together, and surprisingly enough, I still went out and I still ran some more meets, finished out the season, made some money, which was good. You know, it helped me get ranked higher in the world. I think I finished 6th, like I was ranked 6th in the world in 2021. So, you know, I'm happy that I was ranked high, and I'm happy that I was able to go those meets and finish off. And it's funny because after the Olympics, the performances I did after the Olympics were even better than my Olympic performance, and it's frustrating when it just doesn't come together on that day, because I had really good performances early in the season, and I had pretty good, I would say good performances at the end of the season. They weren't like spectacular, but they were good. And to have a bad performance like right when I needed it to be good was hard, but all I can do is move on, and lots to learn from it. And yeah, track has a lot of lessons, but at the end of the day, I'm very grateful that I made my 2nd Olympic team. I am so happy that they had the Olympics, that people could actually go and compete for their country. We could have easily just canceled it. It could have definitely been canceled, and it did not happen, and I'm so grateful it didn't, because yeah, it needed to happen, and it's so good that it did. And I'm grateful that God's got me back to this point. It's just funny because 2 or 3 years ago when I was hurt, I just want to be competitive again. I was like, man, if I could just compete and be fast again, it'd be so nice. And now I'm not just like fast now. I'm like saying personal best and competing with the best in the world. And I'm trying to like get the top spot. It's like you're never satisfied. Just gotta like be content with where I am, with where God's placed me. And yeah, that's kind of my Olympic experience. Not the happiest, like go lucky, like yeah, I went amazing, like it was the first time around. Because the first time around, yes, it was bittersweet, and I got fourth, and I was like so gunning for a medal this time, and I didn't even get close. I know I'm very capable to medal eventually. I know that the World Championships are this year. I know medals are in my future. I know that I'm very capable of doing it at the right time when I need to do it. It's just a matter of putting myself out there and changing some things up and praying to God that it works. So thanks for listening to my Olympic experience. I hope you guys kind of got a little bit of an insight of how it is to be an Olympic athlete, but how it was to be an Olympic athlete in 2021. Like, not a lot of people talked about what happened and what went down and how things look so different, how we couldn't hang out, we had to take tests every day, we had to do so many things differently, but at the end of the day, we still had it, and we're grateful that we did. So consider subscribing, because I am going to be producing content this month, this year. 2022 is going to be so good. I have some vlogs that I've had pre-recorded. If you have any like video recommendations, things you want to learn more about or see, definitely leave them in the comments down below. You can also follow me on Instagram at cindyofili. I'm still cindyofili on there. My last name has changed to Cindy Sember, for those of you who might be confused. That's my new last name. But yes, my tag is right here. So you guys can go follow me on that. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.